guys, Nathan here, and this is my own personal 2023 Hyundai Santa Cruz. It's the SEL model, and many of you know I've had it for a while, but I haven't done too many updates on it. I've been traveling a lot, and so I was going to do a 6-month update, but I was out of town. Then I was going to do a 9-month update, out of town. But now it's 10 months, and in 10 months, well, I've had a chance to put on over 11,000 miles, and I've really driven it. I've driven it back and forth to California and back and forth to New Mexico, and I've been using it as a daily driver going back and forth from Aurora, Colorado, which is next to Denver, up and back to Boulder, Colorado, which is where our offices are. So, I wanted to give you just a brief update on what's been going on, what I like, and what I dislike. All right, without any further ado, let's have a little walk-see. Now, for those of you who are wondering, this vehicle is not the full-powered, heavy-duty, turbocharged one. Nope. This one has the 4-cylinder with no turbocharger, and I did that on purpose. So it puts out, 190 horsepower, 181 pound-feet of torque. Look, that's not a lot, but it's enough to get it around, and it moves just fine, especially if I don't have it loaded with stuff, and we'll get to that in a minute. The only issue I've had so far is that the transmission, it's a little wonky sometimes between second and third gear. Sometimes it kind of revs up or revs down at weird times. But unlike the dual clutch, which has had several recalls, no recalls, knock on metal. It's been relatively efficient. We will talk about efficiency after I do a little walk around and get into the car. Okay, so among the things I like is the fact that this is a really utilitarian car. I have hauled with it, and I've towed only once with it. Why did I only tow once? Because Hyundai did a recall on this thing, and they basically said everybody's got to lose their wiring harness if they have a trailer connection, right? They did that with mine, pulled it off. Yeah, that was 7 months ago. They haven't solved the issue yet. They haven't reinstalled it. They haven't plugged it in or said it's okay for me to use. So I haven't looked at the fuses, I haven't touched the wiring or anything else, which means that I haven't driven the vehicle, not in terms of with a trailer. Boy, that ticks me off, because I've needed it a few times. And it can tow up to 3,500 pounds. Now, if you get the turbo, you go way up to 5,000 pounds, which is, I believe, 1,000 pounds better than the Ford Maverick. And I'm really not here to talk about the Maverick, although there are times where I regret not having it, especially when it comes to fuel mileage, because the hybrid did really well, but that's a whole different story. So come on over here. I wanted to show you something that I really do like, and it has to do with my phone. All right, so I'm going to open up my phone. Can you see that? My Hyundai. So this little setup here comes with the car, and it allows me to do several things. I can lock and unlock it, I can start it, I can find it, I can toot the horn, and I've used almost everything in this app since I've had the car. And it's been really good because it also gives me reminders of service, which I'll show you inside the car as well. There's a big service reminder there. Gives me estimated range. I really like this app. It's very simple to use. It hasn't really gone wrong once. One time my wife lost the car. She lost it. There aren't that many vehicles that look like this, but I'm not going to get angry. And what I did was I used my phone to honk the horn, and then I was able to locate its position roughly using the phone, and as such, she was able to find it. Won't go into details about how happy I was about it. So let's have a look at the vehicle from the outside. I'm going to go to the back, but before I do, let's show you these, because this is the only component on the vehicle that's not stock. And these are trail terrain tires that I put on here, substituting the Kumos that were on here, which were not great. They were okay. These have been remarkably good, and I put about 9,000 miles on them because I replaced the old tires at a little over 2,000 miles. They were just not doing the job during winter. These have been remarkably good. I've used them off-road, but more importantly, I've used them in the snow and on horrible surfaces and in torrential rain. By the way, this thing went through a 2-foot water divide by accident. That was my fault. It made it, but I don't recommend doing it. It's not supposed to. All right, come on over here. So No parts on the exterior have really gone wrong. However, I am beginning to wonder how long it's going to be before these pieces start to bleach. I'm already seeing a little bit of that over here. And as you guys know, with hard plastics, especially black, on a lot of vehicles, they tend to go a little gray. So I have a feeling that's going to happen. There are certain types of preservatives and special things you can add to it in order to mitigate that. All right, let's drop the back. I have used this as a little pickup truck a lot. I'm very happy about that because, you know, when I got this, a lot of you guys are like, turn in your man card. You're just basically buying a station wagon, or you're buying a crossover and you're not doing anything with it. Well, you know what? I've hauled more crap in this than I bet a lot of you guys with half-ton trucks have. I put 2 pallets in here with about 1,000 pounds worth of canned food. I've hauled an entire, very large party's worth of tables and chairs and everything, both on the exterior and interior of the car. I'll show you how it folds in a minute. And I've used this to haul a half cord of wood before winter started. And I'm really glad that this has a composite bed because I've already scratched it a bit and kind of done things to it, hauling other things. Also, there was an engine block, a 454 sat in here on a pallet and it was leaking oil and I had to pull it out, and fortunately I was able to wash this out pretty easily. I do use these compartments for various things, and they've been great so far. No big deal there. And yes, I use this as well. Now, this is interesting because obviously the Honda Ridgeline has a much bigger one, but this has been great for holding jackets and sweaters and extra things I don't need in the car, an extra toolkit, jumper cables, stuff like that. And I could just leave it in here and forget about it. Once the tailgate is up, everything is locked. Now, I've been holding, I brought in, I think it was about 7-foot pieces approximately of lumber and had them stacked back here. So with the tailgate down, they hung out about this far, about where my hand is. And I, of course, hung a little red rag. But that wasn't too bad. And I have a lot of great tie-down points here too. And these are great to have. However, I would really like a few more. So I have like these up here and obviously these rings. But it would be great if Hyundai had rings up here maybe, or here. That would be really, really good. That is a minor complaint compared to where I could go with this thing. By the way, when I did that, I was able to take this off the tailgate. Let's see if I can do this on camera. Of course, it took me 3 tries when I was trying to do it in front of my friends and impress them. And I think if you wanted to go up and over, never mind. Anyway, oh wait, there we go. That was it. So if you do it like this, then it's really easy to have a piece hanging out of the back and have it relatively flat with a piece going across, which is pretty much what I did. Very simple. I didn't know you could do stuff like that before. So I did a story a while ago about the tailgates on small pickups like this, and I did not mention that and I got yelled at. Anyway, let's go to the interior. First the back seat, then we'll work our way to the front seat. So we'll start over here. Wanted to quickly show you what I've been doing back here. You just simply pull on the strap and you can lift up. And that's where the jack is, but on the opposite side, there's an open area where I've been keeping a lot of things that are needed for this vehicle to be a little bit more utilitarian. So nets, bungee cords, ropes, stuff like that. Now the jack can fit under the passenger seat. I've seen some guy do it, and he's basically been able to put it in there real solid. And I am thinking about that in the future. But for now, it's totally fine right there. So let me close this, and let's meet at the front seat. So the cameraman's going to go to the passenger door. I'm going to go to the driver's door, and I'm going to fire this puppy up. Alrighty. Now, what you're going to see right when I fire it up on this screen is its required service, and I'm well past it. Here we go. Okay, give it a sec. There we go. So I'm past it by 416 miles. And that's one issue. And the reason there's an issue there is because I've been trying to make an appointment at Hyundai saying, hey, this thing tells me it needs service. And they're like, yeah, don't worry about it, it's fine. And I was only able to get an appointment at the local Hyundai dealership for a month out. So that's why it's well past that number. But I was told that it's okay. So let's talk about a couple other things. First of all, I've got 11,196 miles on it. So basically 11,200 when I leave here, it'll be that. And in that time, let's see if we can close that door. And I'm going to show you. There we go. There's my average. And that is not my total average. It's a little lower total. Total is 25.9. That was the last time. And that's over 11,000 miles. That's okay. It's around where it is with the EPA on this vehicle in terms of combined. However, I do a majority of my driving on the highway. Now, bear in mind that 1,000 miles of that was done with a roof rack on this vehicle. And that roof rack sucked. It was an old roof rack to begin with, so it wasn't very aerodynamic. And I don't have the roof rails to put on the regular crossbars on here because this is the lower model. So this thing was totally unaerodynamic. As such, I was losing up to 3 mpg with this rack up there. Insane. Another thing, when you add weight to this car, now this thing can hold around 1,700 pounds. So it has a really, really good payload. And the best part is that the rear suspension, as long as you don't go over that payload by too much, will adjust itself automatically, but doing it in a mechanical way. So there's no buttons or no levers or anything. So you could drive around a little bit and it'll actually go back to its regular height, which is super cool, and it works. However, once you go to that maximum load, and I had about 1,400 pounds in this thing at one point, I noticed that the braking system wasn't happy. It was taking me a much longer distance to stop, which is what frustrates me about the whole towing thing, because without having that wiring harness in here, I can't tow, but at the same time, if I were towing, I would be able to tell you guys what are the extra distances for towing, let's say, a 2,000-pound trailer or a 2,500-pound trailer. Okay, now let's finally get into my biggest issue here, and Roman talked about it with our previous Hyundai Santa Cruz, and that's this. Not this, this. This black plastic, which is all over the vehicle. Oh man, it sucks in dust like you cannot believe. In fact, if you pan the camera over towards the window, you can see how much dust accumulates in here. And I'm pretty good about keeping this car relatively clean. But dude, it just sits here and it just absolutely clings to the dashboard. Look at it's everywhere. But on this, especially this material, fingerprints show up immediately. If Andre's in here, armpit hair shows up immediately. Stuff like that. It just absolutely accumulates, and it just is so hard to remove. And then it gets worse if you don't have the mud flaps, the mats. Those mats come directly from Hyundai, but there are other ones that you can buy. Now, if you look, there are on the very corners, there is some carpet. Now, I have 5 pets at home. That's 3 too many. And I tell you that I try my best not to drag dog hair and cat hair in this vehicle, but regardless, it's still going to come in here, right? And it just sticks to the carpet in this vehicle. In the back seat, I had to vacuum probably 20 minutes to get it all out. And I haven't had this thing for a year, and I've only brought the animals in this car like twice. So it's like super absorbent for hair. So keep that in mind if you're interested in pets. All right, let's wrap up from the outside of this car. And yes, I know some of you are like, oh, no, it's a truck. And others are saying, no, it's not a truck. I like to call it a crossover pickup, and that is exactly what it is, because I've used it as a daily driver. My wife has driven it a lot. She's actually put on at least 3 or 4, maybe 4,000 miles on it. Even my daughter drove it and managed not to destroy it. So it's actually had a lot of mileage put on by my family, which is the whole point. And in that time, it's been almost flawless. I haven't had any issues with condensation in any of these components here or in the back. I haven't had any issues with the transmission or the engine. No fires, none of that. So a lot of people who are screaming and yelling that the sky is falling with Hyundai products, this one so far has been okay, other than one issue with the trailer wiring hitch harness. Ha! All right, so there you go. After I pass a year, maybe when I get past 15,000 miles, I'll do another update. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you later. God, I can't even speak. I'll see you later.